transmigration, a forgotten name. The first thing Li Wei felt was cold, not the chill of winter. This was sterile. The buzz of fluorescent lights above, and the sharp scent of disinfectant in the air. He blinked, disoriented. The crash, the screech of tires, the headlights, the pain. That should have been the end, and yet, here he was, alive, whole. He sat up slowly, heart pounding. Around him, vanity mirrors lined with bulbs, stage makeup scattered across a dressing table, and racks of flamboyant costumes. This wasn't a hospital. It was backstage. Then his eyes landed on a plastic name tag. Starlight Legacy Entertainment Troupe, Assistant, Li Wei. His name, but not his handwriting. A chill passed through him as realization struck. I transmigrated, and not just into any world, but the Dan May novel, Falling Stars and Fragments. A drama-filled BL saga of ambition, betrayal, and heartbreak. Only, he wasn't the protagonist. In the novel, Li Wei was just a side character, a quiet assistant to the rising star Su Ming, barely mentioned before being discarded in a scandal. Accused of embezzlement. Forgotten. He gripped the table edge, nausea curling in his gut. I know how this story ends. In the mirror, a younger, slightly sharper version of his face stared back. This was his life now. The door burst open. Li Wei. Ruan Jie, the chatty backstage manager, just as the book described. Round glasses, messy hair, coffee in hand. Stop daydreaming. Su Ming's water, now. Right, Li Wei said automatically. As Ruan Jie handed him the bottle, he added in a low voice. Careful, the director's already pissed. Su Ming's throwing a fit again. Li Wei gave a quick nod and slipped into the hallway. Applause and chatter echoed through the walls. With each step, memory and fiction blurred. Rehearsal room doors swung open. Lights, choreographers barking instructions, stylists fluttering, techs running cues. And in the center, Su Ming, tall, handsome, effortlessly charismatic. Every bit the star the novel promised. Su Ming turned and spotted him. You're late, he said coolly, though his smile was red carpet perfect. Li Wei lowered his head, offering the water. Apologies, Senior Su. Su Ming took it, but didn't look away. Don't mess up my schedule again. Understood. Stay small, Li Wei reminded himself. Stay invisible. He turned to leave, then froze. Someone else was approaching. Someone important. Shen Yu, the troupe's exacting choreographer. Dressed in black, hair tied low, eyes sharp as a scalpel. In the novel, he was the second male lead. A brilliant man, undone by unrequited love. Li Wei's breath caught. He hadn't noticed him yet. Good. But then Shen Yu stopped. Their eyes met. For one terrible moment, Li Wei felt like prey. You, new assistant, Shen Yu said. Li Wei stiffened. Yes, Director Shen. Shen Yu studied him with unnerving calm. This troupe eats people alive, he said. Then turned and walked off, his coat sweeping like a shadow behind him. Li Wei stood frozen, heart hammering in his chest. I was supposed to be invisible, but from day one, something had already changed. Chapter 2. First Encounter with Shen Yu. The next few days passed in a haze of endless activity. Rehearsals ran late. Costumes were adjusted down to the last stitch, and tempers flared as opening night for Stars in Bloom crept closer. Li Wei drifted through it all like a ghost. As a backstage assistant, he was constantly in motion, taping down floor marks, updating schedules, hauling props, all while carefully avoiding the main cast, and especially the plot's central figures. He knew how the original novel played out. Getting involved too early meant risking the story's unraveling, but fate had its own script. It was already past 9 when the rehearsal bled into its 5th hour. Su Ming, the lead actor, had once again demanded a retake. His third that evening, pushing everyone to the edge of exhaustion. Tension hung thick in the theater air, while the others groaned and reset positions. Li Wei crouched to realign a stage marker. It was off by just a few inches, but even small errors could snowball. He barely had time to stand when a voice sliced through the haze. "Stop." Li Wei froze. That voice, cool, commanding. He turned slowly. Shen Yu was walking toward him, his long coat trailing like a shadow, eyes razor sharp and locked onto the stage. The crew parted instinctively, giving him space. Li Wei bowed his head slightly. "Director Shen." Shen Yu said nothing at first. He crouched beside the marker Li Wei had just adjusted. "You moved it," he said, quiet but firm. 3 inches. Li Wei nodded. The center was misaligned. Shen Yu glanced at him, not unkindly, but with a piercing sort of curiosity. "You noticed?" "Yes." A beat of silence passed. Li Wei's heart thudded. He wasn't supposed to be seen. Not yet. In the novel, Shen Yu remained distant from the backstage crew, untouchable and aloof until much later in the story. But now, most assistants wouldn't have caught that, Shen Yu said, rising. Li Wei offered a small smile. "I try to pay attention." "Good," Shen Yu replied. "Keep doing so." And just like that, he turned away. Positions. Again. The room exhaled as the cast reset. Li Wei slipped back into the wings, trying to steady his nerve. "You just got personally addressed by Director Shen," Ruan Jie whispered as he passed by, eyes wide. Li Wei waved him off. It was nothing. Nothing. People work here for months and never hear him say a word. "You've been here what? 3 days. Li Wei forced a laugh, but inside, his thoughts spiraled. In the book, Shen Yu was a tragic figure, cold, brilliant, and quietly broken. Fans always said the same thing in the forums. If only someone had seen through him earlier. And now Shen Yu had looked right at him. Later that night, the theater emptied out, one weary crew member at a time. Li Wei lingered at the side exit, double-checking the next day's schedule. "Still working?" He turned, startled. Shen Yu stood in the corridor, coat over one arm, features softened by fatigue. He looked almost human. "I was finishing the run sheet," Li Wei said, voice careful. Shen Yu studied him for a moment. You're not like the others. Li Wei's pulse quickened. How do you mean? You don't panic when I speak. Most people do. Li Wei hesitated. I respect your position, Director Shen, but I don't fear you. Shen Yu's lips twitched. Not quite a smile, something smaller. Fear clouds judgment. I value clarity. They stood in silence, the kind that doesn't beg to be filled. Then, Shen Yu turned toward the exit. Rest well, Assistant Li Wei. Tomorrow will be even harder. He walked into the night without another word. Li Wei stared after him, breath shallow. The plot was shifting, and he was no longer just a background character. Chapter 3. The First Rehearsal Crisis. The next morning, the theater was already buzzing by the time Li Wei arrived. The grand stage glowed under the floodlights, polished to perfection, a picture of readiness and pressure. Today was the full dress rehearsal, the most critical checkpoint before opening night, and every detail had to run like clockwork. But from the tension already humming in the air, Li Wei could feel the storm brewing. Su Ming, the lead actor, stood confidently at center stage in a pristine white costume that shimmered under the lights. His ever-handsome smile was firmly in place, but the glint in his eyes betrayed his mood. Combative and unwilling. Director Shen, my choreography still feels stiff, he announced loudly, drawing the attention of the entire troupe. I'm an actor, not a dancer. Perhaps the blocking needs to be simplified. Shen Yu, unshaken, stood with arms crossed and a gaze like winter steel. We've been through this, he said coolly. The routine was tailored for your ability. The stiffness is in your execution, not the choreography. A hush fell across the room. The stage crew and ensemble held their breath, sensing the invisible daggers flying between director and actor. Su Ming's smile faltered just a hair, and though his voice came out sweet, there was a razor underneath it. Of course, I'll try harder. Li Wei, stationed quietly near the lighting desk, watched the exchange with calm detachment. Here it is, he thought, the first unraveling. In the original novel, this moment had marked the beginning of Su Ming's quiet sabotage. Indirect attacks designed to chip away at Shen Yu's control by targeting those around him, especially anyone deemed vulnerable. And right now, that person should have been him. As the rehearsal progressed, Li Wei remained focused, reviewing cue sheets, checking light cues, and ensuring transitions lined up. But perfection was fleeting. During a mid-scene transition, the backdrop system jammed. It was a split-second malfunction, but enough to throw off the timing. Su Ming, stepping forward for his dramatic turn, nearly tripped. The gasp from the ensemble echoed throughout the hall. Su Ming spun around immediately, voice sharp as a blade. Who was responsible for the set? The crew looked around nervously. Though it wasn't Li Wei's direct department, his coordination role meant eyes naturally drifted toward Shen Yu's gaze, locked on the technician near the control board. It's a mechanical failure, he stated with calm finality. The assistant is not at fault. Su Ming's jaw clenched. Still, the assistant oversees. The issue is resolved, Shen Yu cut in, his tone brooking no debate. Let's continue. Su Ming bit back whatever retort he had and stepped into position. Though the look he shot Li Wei as he passed was pure venom, Li Wei exhaled silently. That moment had been a cliff's edge. In the original script, this was where things would have started crumbling for his character. But Shen Yu had diverted the fall. Hours later, after the final scene faded into silence and the rehearsal dispersed in a fog of fatigue, Li Wei stayed behind to help reset props and tidy up. Shen Yu lingered on the edge of the stage, watching. Then his gaze settled on Li Wei, sharp but not unkind. You handled that well today. Li Wei looked up, startled. Director Shen? Shen Yu stepped closer, lowering his voice. You didn't panic. That's rare. Li Wei gave a small smile, the kind you give when you're unsure if you're being complimented or tested. I was just doing my job. Shen Yu seemed to consider that, as if weighing something internal, then added, more softly this time, you're observant, and you don't let Su Ming rattle you. A beat of silence. If you're willing, I could use your input in tomorrow's blocking revisions. Li Wei blinked. Me? You see things others miss. With that, Shen Yu turned toward the exit. Come to the choreography studio at 8 a.m. And then he was gone, footsteps fading into the wings, leaving Li Wei staring after him. Ruan Jie appeared moments later, wide-eyed and breathless. What just happened? Li Wei could barely answer. The script is changing again, and I'm being pulled deeper into the center of it. But what surprised him most was the flicker in his chest, a dangerous, fluttering feeling that wasn't fear anymore. Not entirely. Chapter 4. Hidden Scandals and Paparazzi Storm. The next morning, Li Wei arrived at the choreography studio precisely at 8 a.m. as instructed. The room was spacious and quiet, filled only with the low hum of focus. Shen Yu was already there, bent over the stage layout, absorbed in his precise review of the performance plan. Morning sunlight filtered through the tall windows, casting golden streaks across the polished wooden floorboards. You're punctual, Shen Yu remarked, without looking up. I said I would be here, Li Wei replied, stepping forward with a soft confidence that surprised even himself. Shen Yu gestured him closer. Come, look. Spread across the table was a meticulous scale model of the stage. Miniature sets, delicate props, colored markers representing the performers' positions. Shen Yu pointed to Act 2. The blocking here breaks the flow. Su Ming's entrance stalls the ensemble. As he adjusted the pieces, demonstrating a new sequence, Li Wei watched closely, absorbing every detail. If Su Ming entered 2 meters earlier, the chorus could stay in formation, Li Wei suggested. Shen Yu paused, glancing at him with a flicker of approval. Exactly. For the next hour, they worked in tandem, refining scenes and improving transitions. For once, Li Wei wasn't just receiving instructions. He was contributing, and Shen Yu was listening. The dynamic between them shifted, growing more collaborative, more charged. Outside the studio, another storm was brewing. Whispered rumors and online gossip had started to circulate. Small articles with big implications. Su Ming and director Shen Yu clashing backstage. New assistant caught in power struggle. Li Wei had known the entertainment world could be ruthless, but reading his name online, tangled in scandalous speculation, still made his stomach clench. That afternoon, Ruan Jie shoved his phone at him, eyes wide. "You're trending." Li Wei scanned the screen. Headlines blaming him for distractions, calling him a spy, insinuating favoritism or worse. "I'm just an assistant," he muttered. "Not anymore," Ruan Jie said quietly. "You're standing too close to the fire." And he was right. That evening, as the troupe exited rehearsals, a wave of paparazzi surged outside the theater gates. Lenses snapping, voices shouting. "Director Shen, favoritism claims." "Li Wei, are you and the director involved off stage?" The crowd pressed forward, microphones in faces, flashes blinding. Li Wei lowered his head, clutching his bag, trying to disappear. But then, a hand, firm and grounding, gripped his shoulder. Shen Yu had stepped beside him, unshaken by the chaos. "No comment," he said icily, "but if you continue harassing my staff, we'll pursue legal action." The press faltered, stunned. Shen Yu swiftly led Li Wei into the waiting black car, slamming the door behind them. Silence settled between them inside, broken only by Li Wei's unsteady breath. "You didn't have to," he began. "I did," Shen Yu said. "You're under my protection while you're here." Li Wei met his eyes. "You're making it worse." "Perhaps," Shen Yu admitted, voice low. "But I won't let you be eaten alive while I stand by." The space between them shifted again. No longer just director and assistant, but something unspoken, more intimate, more dangerous. Later that night, alone in his room, Li Wei scrolled through the never-ending online chatter. His fingers trembled slightly as he read the speculation and attacks. He exhaled slowly. "I was supposed to stay invisible, but the story keeps pulling me deeper. And Shen Yu, cold, brilliant, dangerous Shen Yu, was standing closer." Chapter 5. Growing closer. Behind the curtains. The rumors didn't stop. If anything, they grew louder. Whispers filled the backstage corridors. The production staff exchanged glances whenever Li Wei passed by. Some offered him sympathetic nods. Others avoided his gaze entirely. The simple title of assistant had been twisted into something far more scandalous by the public eye. But strangely, amidst the growing pressure, Shen Yu only drew closer. That week, Shen Yu personally requested Li Wei's assistance with the new choreography revisions. Instead of assigning others, he had Li Wei by his side, walking the stage late into the evenings. They spent hours together adjusting lighting cues, fine-tuning transitions, and discussing artistic choices. Li Wei never thought he'd be allowed to influence. "Shift the center beam 5 degrees to the left," Shen Yu directed. "Watch how it creates depth behind the ensemble." Li Wei studied the new effect. The colors shifted subtly across the performers, adding a richness to the stage he hadn't noticed before. "It's beautiful." Shen Yu glanced at him. "Details are everything." There was no audience tonight, no cameras, only the soft echo of their voices in the vast, empty theater. During a short break, Shen Yu handed Li Wei a warm cup of tea without a word. The small gesture made Li Wei pause. "You don't have to." "It's late," Shen Yu interrupted. "You've worked hard." Li Wei's fingers tightened around the cup. The unexpected kindness stirring something dangerous in his chest. "You're very different from what the rumors say." Shen Yu's expression didn't shift, but his voice lowered. "Rumors don't interest me. Results do." He paused briefly, then added, "Most people only see what they want to see. They forget we're human." Li Wei met his gaze, the quiet exhaustion in Shen Yu's eyes, unexpectedly vulnerable. The carefully built image of the cold choreographer was beginning to crack, and Li Wei was seeing the person underneath. The long nights blurred into a rhythm between them, quiet concentration, soft conversations, and brief, stolen glances that neither dared acknowledge directly. One evening, as they finished reviewing the final scene's blocking, the house lights dimmed automatically, leaving only the faint glow of the exit signs. Li Wei checked his watch. "We should go." But Shen Yu stood still, his voice almost distant. "Do you know why I chose this production?" Li Wei shook his head gently. Shen Yu's gaze remained fixed on the dark stage ahead. "This story is about second chances, about rewriting endings." The words hit too close. Second chances. Li Wei's breath caught for a moment. He knew the irony better than anyone. "Sometimes," Shen Yu continued, voice barely above a whisper, "I wonder if anyone ever gets to rewrite anything at all." A heavy pause settled between them, filled with unspoken thoughts neither dared release. But then Shen Yu turned toward him, his voice steadier now. "You've been a good partner, Li Wei." Partner. The word sent an unexpected warmth through Li Wei's chest. He struggled to answer. I'm just trying to do my job." "You're doing far more than that." They left the theater together, walking side by side under the quiet glow of the street lamps. For the first time, Shen Yu didn't walk ahead or keep his distance. Their pace was perfectly matched, neither rushing, neither retreating. In the shadows behind them, the city buzzed with gossip, but neither spoke of it. For now, under the soft streetlights, it was just them, two people caught between the shifting pages of a story, neither fully controlled anymore. Chapter 6. Su Ming's downfall begins. The tension backstage had thickened into something almost physical. No longer a whisper of discomfort, but a suffocating, persistent weight. Su Ming had sensed the shift for weeks. Shen Yu's eyes lingering longer on Li Wei, the assistant who once blended into the background, now seemingly indispensable, present at every meeting, every rehearsal, a silent shadow beside the director. The others noticed too. something unspoken had begun to crystallize. A quiet reordering of power. Su Ming's onstage charisma remained intact, but his smile no longer touched his eyes. The turning point came during one of the most crucial rehearsals before the press preview. The room filled with cast and crew, energy tense and expectant. When Su Ming boldly proposed a change in blocking, his tone smooth as velvet, but his intentions razor sharp. This new arrangement better showcases the leads, he announced, confident and performative, directly opposing Shen Yu's meticulously constructed choreography. Shen Yu didn't react immediately. His gaze, sharp and unreadable, narrowed before landing momentarily on Li Wei. "We're not rewriting the show 2 weeks before opening," Shen Yu responded evenly. "It's a minor adjustment," Su Ming countered, dripping with feigned modesty. "The audience should focus on the stars, after all." Li Wei, clipboard in hand and pulse racing, knew this moment. It was straight from the original novel, the infamous pivot when Su Ming began manipulating the production to serve his ego. But now, the path was diverging. He took a cautious step forward, every word deliberate. "Director Shen, the lighting cues are tightly synced with the original blocking. Any changes now would offset the ensemble transitions and delay the entire production." The room froze. Su Ming turned his glare on him, voice acidic. "You seem very involved, Assistant Li Wei." But Li Wei stood his ground, just reporting the technical concerns, Senior Su. Then Shen Yu spoke, calm but resolute, and I trust his analysis. That quiet vote of confidence ruptured the atmosphere. Su Ming's facade faltered, a crack in the perfect smile. His authority had been publicly undermined. "Fine," he said tightly. "We'll proceed as scheduled." Yet, even as the rehearsal moved forward, Su Ming began working in the shadows. Within days, rumors circulated backstage and beyond. Hushed voices suggesting that Li Wei was using Shen Yu's favor to climb the ranks. That there was more than professionalism between the director and his assistant. Anonymous accounts fed the fire, and the media pounced. Headlines bloomed with speculation, director's favorite, romance, or manipulation. Paparazzi photos showed Shen Yu and Li Wei leaving late rehearsals together, cropped and captioned for maximum impact. Ruan Jie slammed his phone down one morning. Frustration etched into his face. "They're trying to pin this on you," he muttered. Li Wei scrolled through the articles numbly, stomach churning. That night, Shen Yu summoned him. The office was dim and still, the city's lights flickering beyond the windows. Shen Yu didn't turn to face him at first. "They're escalating," he said softly. Li Wei tried for humor, but it came out bitter. "I've read the headlines." When Shen Yu did face him, his eyes were uncharacteristically gentle. "You're not built for this," he murmured. "Neither are you," Li Wei replied, the truth sitting heavily between them. Silence stretched, thick with all the words neither dared say. Finally, Li Wei spoke again, quieter. "Director Shen, if this gets worse, you don't have to protect me." But Shen Yu's answer was immediate and sharp. I will. Your career has withstood worse, he said. Then, softer still, I chose you to stand beside me. I don't regret that. Li Wei's breath caught. Outside, the world buzzed with scandal and noise. But inside that small office, the noise faded. And in the quiet that remained, something fragile and real stirred. The original story, the one written in someone else's voice, was Chapter 7. Confession. Under the stage lights, the theater was quiet. For once, the lights weren't blinding, the cameras weren't flashing, and the cast and crew had long gone home. Only Shen Yu and Li Wei remained, standing center stage beneath a single soft beam of overhead light. They were finalizing late-night adjustments for the upcoming press preview. But now, the work was done. The silence lingered. Shen Yu stood still, hands in his coat pockets, his sharp gaze not on the stage, but on Li Wei. Li Wei swallowed nervously under the weight of that stare. The scandal outside had reached a boiling point. The tabloids were ruthless. Rumors swirled, calling him Shen Yu's secret lover, an opportunist who had manipulated his way into influence. Even Su Ming's loyal fan base had turned on him online. It was never supposed to be like this, Li Wei thought bitterly. I was just trying to survive. He looked down, voice quiet. I can leave? Shen Yu frowned slightly. You're not leaving. The press won't stop. The sponsors are nervous. You're risking everything just by keeping me here. I know, Shen Yu interrupted, his voice calm but firm. I've already made my choice. Li Wei's breath caught. Why? Shen Yu took a step closer, his voice softer now, no longer his usual cool tone. Because somewhere along the way, it stopped being just work. The words hung in the air like fragile glass. Li Wei's heart pounded as Shen Yu continued, his dark eyes never leaving him. You've changed everything, Li Wei. You challenged me. You stayed when others wouldn't. You saw me as more than a title or a reputation. A faint smile ghosted across his lips. You never looked at me like I was untouchable. Li Wei could feel the heat rising to his cheeks. His throat tightened. Shen Yu's voice lowered again. I don't want you as my assistant anymore. Li Wei's breath hitched. I understand. I can step down. No. Shen Yu stepped closer, closing the distance between them entirely now. I want you as my partner. The world around them seemed to narrow into this small circle of light, just the two of them, as though even the stage itself was holding its breath. Li Wei felt his heart beating wildly in his chest. Director Shen Yu, he corrected gently. Just Shen Yu. The wall between them, the careful formality, the distance they'd maintained, finally cracked. For a moment, neither of them moved. The pull between them was undeniable. Then, almost tentatively, Shen Yu reached forward, brushing his fingers against Li Wei's cheek. The touch was feather light, but Li Wei leaned into it instinctively. "I never planned for any of this," Li Wei whispered, voice trembling. "I never planned to feel this way." "Neither did I." Shen Yu's voice was barely audible now. "But I won't run from it." Slowly, carefully, Shen Yu leaned forward, and under the soft glow of the empty stage, with only the silent theater as witness, their lips finally met, hesitant at first, but quickly deepening as weeks of unspoken tension spilled into that single moment. The confession needed no more words. When they finally pulled apart, their foreheads resting together, Shen Yu whispered, "No matter what happens next, we face it together." Li Wei smiled softly, his nerves melting into warmth. Together, above them, the soft hum of the stage lights buzzed, while far away the world continued spinning, oblivious to the quiet story rewriting itself behind closed theater doors. Chapter 8. The rival troupe strikes. The days following their quiet confession felt almost surreal. In stolen moments between rehearsals, late-night phone calls, and private glances, Li Wei and Shen Yu finally allowed themselves to feel what had been growing for weeks. But peace, as always, was temporary. The rival troupe, Celestial Stage Company, had been watching Starlight Legacy's rising success carefully. Their upcoming show would compete directly for sponsors, venues, and media attention. And with the rumors still swirling about Shen Yu's scandalous relationship with his assistant, the rival troupe saw an opening. One morning, Ruan Jie burst into the rehearsal room, pale and breathless. "It's bad," he panted, waving his phone. Li Wei's stomach twisted as he read the headlines. Li Wei's breath caught. "I never falsified anything." "I know that." Runjia's voice lowered. "But the public doesn't care." In Shen Yu's office, the mood was tense. The producer sat stiffly across from them both, his face tight. "We're under immense pressure. The board is demanding action. They want to suspend you, Li Wei, at least until this blows over." Li Wei's hands clenched tightly in his lap. He could feel Shen Yu's gaze on him. But he spoke first, voice steady. "If suspending me protects the production, I'll step back." Shen Yu's voice cut through instantly. "No." The producer tried to reason. "Shen Yu." "No," Shen Yu repeated, his tone icy. "If you suspend him, I walk." The words landed like a stone dropped into still water. Silence filled the office. The producer paled. "You're the face of this production. If you leave, the show falls apart." "Yes." Shen Yu's eyes narrowed. "So choose carefully." Later that evening, Li Wei sat beside Shen Yu in the quiet, empty theater once more. "You didn't have to risk everything for me," Li Wei whispered. "I did," Shen Yu answered simply. "Because you're worth it." Li Wei's voice broke slightly. "I never wanted to bring you into my mess." "It was never your mess," Shen Yu said softly, reaching for his hand. "They fear us because we're no longer following their script." Li Wei squeezed his hand tightly. "I'm scared." "So am I," Shen Yu admitted. "But I've faced far worse alone. I won't face this alone now." Despite their defiance, the storm continued outside. Sponsors hesitated. Social media feeds exploded with debates. Some calling Li Wei a fraud, others defending them. Reporters camped outside the theater daily, but inside, rehearsals continued. Shen Yu held his team together with unwavering focus, while Li Wei threw himself into managing the logistics, determined not to become a burden. The staff, once wary, began standing quietly behind them, loyal in the face of the attacks. The production wasn't collapsing, not yet, but the pressure was still rising. And soon, it would reach its breaking point. On opening night, Chapter 9, the final performance. Opening night arrived. The Grand Theater pulsed with energy as industry elites, reporters, sponsors, and countless fans filled the velvet seats. Camera flashes burst like fireworks outside the entrance as guests walked the red carpet. Backstage, the tension was suffocating. Li Wei stood in the wings, watching as stagehands rushed about, actors prepared, and lighting technicians ran final checks. His headset buzzed with constant updates from crew members, but his mind was far away. Tonight wasn't just a show. Tonight was judgment. One mistake, one whisper of scandal, and everything Shen Yu had built, everything they had built, could collapse. He inhaled deeply, steadying his nerves. Shen Yu appeared beside him, dressed immaculately in black, exuding the calm that only he seemed able to summon. "You're shaking," Shen Yu said gently, his voice quiet over the noise. "I'm fine," Li Wei whispered back, though his pulse betrayed him. Shen Yu's hand brushed briefly against his, a small touch hidden from the crew's view, but grounding nonetheless. "We've made it this far," Shen Yu whispered. "The rest is just performance." Li Wei nodded, allowing himself one last glance at Shen Yu before turning back to his duties. The curtain lifted. The performance unfolded smoothly, every transition sharp, every movement perfectly timed. The audience sat spellbound, captivated by the flawless synchronization of music, choreography, and emotion. Even Su Ming, standing center stage in his lead role, delivered a near-perfect performance, though his expression occasionally flickered toward Li Wei at the edge of the stage, resentment still simmering beneath his polished facade. But Su Ming wasn't done yet. During the final act, the critical scene approached, the one that involved the complicated aerial lift that had been rehearsed for weeks. It was Su Ming's moment to shine, and the perfect opportunity for sabotage. Li Wei noticed it instantly. The rigging cable had been altered. His breath caught. If that harness fails, Su Ming will fall, and the scandal will destroy Shen Yu with him. Without hesitation, Li Wei grabbed his earpiece. "Emergency. Cue hold. Stop the lift sequence. Manual override now." The crew froze. Shen Yu's sharp voice followed through the comms instantly. "Do it." The system was halted just seconds before activation. Stagehands scrambled as whispers rippled through the crew. The scene was salvaged, improvised flawlessly by the ensemble, their training kicking in, adjusting choreography on the fly to cover the interruption. The audience never suspected anything. After the curtain fell to thunderous applause, the cast gathered backstage. The reporters swarmed in immediately for interviews. Sponsors smiled. Investors cheered. The show was a success. But behind the curtain, in a quiet corner, Shen Yu pulled Li Wei aside. "You saw it." Li Wei nodded. The cable was tampered with. Su Ming's involvement was obvious, but nothing needed to be said. The sabotage had failed. His downfall was now inevitable. But it wasn't Li Wei's concern anymore. Shen Yu exhaled slowly, his composure finally easing. "You saved the entire production tonight." "I just did my job," Li Wei whispered, smiling faintly. Shen Yu returned the smile, small but genuine. "No, Li Wei, you saved me." Later that night, as the celebrations roared around them, Li Wei and Shen Yu quietly slipped away to the rooftop above the theater. The city lights shimmered below. The sky was clear, stars glowing above them. Shen Yu turned to him, voice soft beneath the hum of the world below. "Tonight was our closing chapter." Li Wei shook his head gently. "No, just the end of this act." A small laugh escaped Shen Yu's lips. "Then let's write the next one, together." As the wind swirled around them, Shen Yu reached for Li Wei's hand once more, this time in full open view beneath the stars. And Li Wei didn't hesitate to take Chapter 10, a new ending. Their story begins. Weeks passed since the final curtain call. The noise, once deafening, had finally quieted. The scandal faded like old headlines. Investigations exposed Su Ming's sabotage attempt, and the rival troops' smear campaign collapsed under its own weight. In the end, justice arrived quietly. Su Ming's contracts were terminated. The rival troupe lost credibility, and Starlight Legacy emerged stronger than ever. Inside the theater, rehearsals for their next production had already begun. New faces joined the ensemble. The stage lights gleamed with fresh energy. Li Wei walked through the familiar halls, now strangely at peace. His role behind the scenes remained, but no longer in the shadows. The staff greeted him with respect now, not as the assistant tangled in scandal, but as Shen Yu's trusted collaborator. He was no longer part of the original script. That evening, Shen Yu found him standing alone in the empty auditorium, quietly reviewing the updated stage plans. "You never stop working," Shen Yu teased softly as he approached. Li Wei smiled, closing the folder. "I could say the same about you." Shen Yu chuckled under his breath, his steps echoing lightly across the wooden floor until they stood face to face beneath the soft house lights. For a moment, neither spoke. No tension, no nerves, just quiet familiarity. Finally, Shen Yu spoke, his voice more vulnerable than Li Wei had ever heard. "I once thought I'd spend my entire career alone, surrounded by people. but never truly seen. He paused, searching Li Wei's eyes. You changed that. Li Wei's heart warmed. You saw me first. Because you refused to hide. Shen Yu smiled, a rare softness in his expression. You fought. For yourself. For us. Li Wei breathed in deeply, his voice steady. I didn't fight alone. Shen Yu reached into his coat pocket and withdrew a small velvet box. Opening it revealed a delicate silver ring engraved with a subtle design of entwined stars and lotus petals. No contracts, no scripts, no deadlines. Shen Yu's voice was quiet, but full of meaning. Only us, writing our own story. Li Wei's breath caught, tears stinging at the corners of his eyes. He reached forward, allowing Shen Yu to slip the ring onto his finger. And this time, Li Wei whispered, smiling through his tears, I choose you, not because of fate, but because I want to. Shen Yu pulled him gently into a quiet embrace, pressing a soft kiss to his forehead as the theater lights dimmed around them, as though the entire stage itself was bowing to their story. Far above the stage, high in the rafters, one of the rigging lights flickered gently, as if offering a quiet applause of its own. The novel Li Wei once knew had long since ended, and in its place, something far better had bloomed. Their own story.